Alright, this one, we're going to finish up the shell of the helmet. There's still other stuff to do on it, the inside and, painting and all that jazz. But on this one, we do have slush casting. It's going to turn out fantastic. Stick around. First cast of a mold is almost always solid resin. I'm not going to worry about where to put fiberglass or how to put fiberglass. Just want to make sure the mold works first. Before we start, I double check everything, make sure all my seams are lined up. I've got 2 cups ready to go. It is an absolute arbitrary amount. I have no idea. I just put 2 marks. Stir already. Blue goes to blue, yellow to purple. Now I'm going to pay more attention to the back seam here because there's going to be flashing and I'm going to need to smooth that out more. So I want more resin back there than I normally would. I'll leave it for a bit. We'll do the bottom rim. Not bad, not bad. Part 2 is very much like part 1. Except I think I want a little bit less resin. I'd rather do a bunch of little pours than one big pour. These bottles are so much easier to pour from. This is the game that never ends. Fine. I don't want you to balance anyway. Top of the line. The more times I cast in this cup, the smaller the cup becomes, because a little bit resin. Yeah. I think it's entertaining. All right, let's see if we can do this now. I want to pour in the very front corner here. Okay, that's good. Just wanted to make sure I got all the front. So in retrospect, these front little connector pieces up here, I really should have left off. Am I even in frame? I'm probably not. Let's pop me up just a little bit. So the pieces that go up here, I should have left off. Those would have been way better cast in resin separately and then attached. But we're a little past that point, huh? So like the Thivex thickens the silicone here, they do make a thickener for resin as well. I've never used it. Intently curious about it. I probably should one of these days. Hopefully it'll work. We'll see. Watch Hawk do the exact same thing you just saw him do. Riveting content. Next week's going to be interesting. Next week's something completely different. This one I have to be extra careful on because this is the one with the hole in the mold. There we go. If I had it all to do over again, what would I have done differently? Probably picked an easier to film hobby, first off. I may have segmented some of these pieces a bit more so they were separate individual pieces that get snapped on. No. If you were me, what would you have done differently? I think we're looking at one more after this. You have to really trust your mold to take everything apart. I don't yet, so I'm like, I don't know. The Homestead Tuscan, that one I can do. I know that one. That one's good. I like that one. That one's easy. This one's a little more personal. A little more. Casting a full solid piece is always harder than a kit. Everything down on this side and down. All right, let's see what happens. Using way more of this than I want. And this is where I start getting gun shy, worrying about how much everything costs. If it was cheap and easy, everyone would do it. It's like me in high school. Cheap and easy. It's not always the best bet. In fact, it's rarely the right bet. It's just a couple of spots here that I'm trying to cover. So while I'm doing this, I'm looking for things like, where am I going to put fiberglass when I do the next one? And there are quite a few good candidates. I think I can get the next pour in 3, so less resin, but with the fiberglass matting in there. So I'm not using the fiber mat like I used last time for the mother mold. I'm actually using a woven fiberglass, which I think works a little better, but it's a little more difficult to use. It's also a little more expensive. But again, I need to stop freaking out about money. This is an expensive hobby. And it's really not. It's just, it seems like it is, you know? But if you look at other hobbies, the barrier for entry for costuming and cosplay is way less than, say, I want to get into motocross or machining. You know, costuming is nice because there are inexpensive alternatives. There's always. I could make this out of foam, 3D print it, make everybody responsible for their own helmet. But I'm dressing up like Rick Hunter. I gotta kind of be in charge. Gotta watch out for my squadron. We're just gonna give it a second, let it, you know, start to kick a little bit. It moves a bit easier, slower, more deliberate. It is starting to drip instead of run, which means we should be at a pretty good spot. Also means I need to be careful about my clothing. So I have to run a frickin' 5K to get a new one of these. That may be it. So we're going to leave this for a good 2 hours and let it fully cure. It's supposed to cure in 20 minutes, but I'm going to give it a full 2 hours. Well, I think it's as good as it's going to get. So let's see what we get. It's exciting, exciting. I get to find out if I've wasted my time or if this is a good model. Mold. You know, it works. I go through a lot of tape. Alright. Ginger, careful, take this off. Come on. It's nice that the mold itself doesn't want to pop off. It means it's supporting the helmet really good. Pop off. Or there's a leak and it's got resin under it. One or the other. We'll find out in a second. I don't see a lot of resin anywhere, so it's probably not a leak. Kind of nervous about this one. Again, the more you care about a project, the more, you know, how it turns out matters. Normally I'm pretty blasé because, yeah, whatever. This time, I want a good result. Probably be blasé in the next pour. But, I don't know what this is going to produce. It's exciting. It's terrifying. So I'm just trying to pick off all the extra. We got a bunch of, you know, overpour, overflow stuff from the slush cast. I'm just picking all the loose stuff up. All right. It's time to see. Back looks good. I have a feeling there's going to be more cleanup than I want. Look how loose that is. Really? Could have done that if I tried. I think the key to getting this one off is going to be these air vents. This one feels a little more flexible than I would like, but that could just be because it hasn't had all the time in the world to cure. We shall see. Way more stress on this mold than I'd like. Some people use compressors and just shoot air underneath to separate everything. Just super neat. But my compressor is currently indisposed. I like that cracking noise. The rim I put on seems to have done pretty good, which makes me happy. Never an easy way to do this. soon as I get past the halfway point, it should just pop right in. There we go. It's a good thing I'm only making a few of these. This mold is not going to survive too terribly long with me manhandling it like this. Look at that. That is a result right there. Turn the right side out. I'm worried about this mold. It's gonna. I only have a couple, maybe 8 or 9 to make, but I do feel bad for it because I don't think this mold's gonna last much more than the 8 or 9 I need to make. It's okay. I don't think the mother mold would survive anyway. Okay. This snaps in pretty okay. Maybe. That is definitively an interesting result. Let's finish taping this up. And we'll sit down and have a talk about molds and stuff. So there's of course going to be way more on this series because we're not done yet. The helmet has inner stuff to be taken care of and all kinds of stuff, right? But I want to talk about the genesis of this helmet because it started with this one. This one made of foam, right? It was made solely to make a mold of. I'm not fond of foam helmets. I think they're garbage. but I think they're garbage because I'm not very good at it. And of course I'm like, if I can't do it, it's whatever. No, I've seen helmets that people have made out of foam that are absolutely stunning and fantastic, and way better than what I can do in resin. I mean, they're really good. It's a craft you have to dedicate yourself to, and I haven't. So I made this one, which looks really good at first glance, right? Made a mold and did this one. This is a helmet, right? I fiberglassed it. I used way too much resin. It's rigid, and I have nothing but problems with it. It would take me years to smooth all the edges to get it even close to wearable, right? I know, because I've been working on it for years. So then I 3D printed one, and it turned out perfect. This thing is beautiful. It's exactly 100% what I wanted. It's the right thickness. It looks really, really good, right? I'm probably going to end up finishing this one in a Carillion color palette just because I find that funny to me. And it's just the 3D printed version anyway. I could have easily just 3D printed the rest of the ones I needed to do, and it would have taken almost no time, and there's very little finishing, and then it's done. I'm not fond of 3D printed helmets. Like foam, I'm a resin snob, if I'm 100% honest. I did this one, which turned out good. It's not bad. It's got some problems here. This was the first one. The dome is lumpy. It would take way more finishing than I wanted to do. And to do a bunch of them with way more finishing than I wanted to do wasn't worth my time. I did this one. This one has my returns that I want on the sides. It's a bit, you know, now that it's out of the mold and I can see all the areas that I need to do touch up on, it's not going to be bad. It's really not. The next ones, when I put fiberglass in, going to be way better. But there's a good return on that. I mean, that's going to be, once I put foam in there, it's going to look like a helmet, which is really what I want. That's the end goal. I want these to look like helmets, not just like some weird prop some guy made in his garage, right? This one, I'm going to go, is good enough to cast. This one, this is a good prop. I could probably just paint and walk away if I really wanted. I'm going to do way more because I still got a weird, you know, pucker marks where the mold isn't perfectly flat. So I would call this a B pull. It's a C pull. Those aren't even pulls. But this one is still going to work. On a shelf, painted, and just in a display, perfect. I don't just display things. All in all, the reason that this one didn't come out, the first one I made, right, didn't come out because I got gun shy about money. $30 is what cost this helmet from working properly. Because I was like, it's good enough, and just went with it anyway. I should have stopped and made my mold thicker. If I wasn't prepared to pay to have it done, I shouldn't have done it, you know? Altogether, the 3D printed one would have worked fine. Would have worked perfect. The foam ones, I may have gotten to these to the right... Again, these I rushed and I tried to do as inexpensively as possible, and I just wanted to do the thing instead of doing the thing the right way. This last one I did the thing the right way, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. It's a learning curve to all of this, right? I've been doing this for long enough, I should have known better. But I was worried. I think it's just squeaking together. Once this has had more time to cure. Because they tell you demold in 20 minutes. This has been an hour. It'll probably take overnight before it gets fully rigid. Once I put fiberglassing in it. Oh, speaking of fiberglassing, the stuff I'm using, let me grab it real quick. It's this fiberglass mat, right? This stuff wicks beautifully. Once I put it in it, it's very, very flexible. It's way better than using the fiber mat. Fiber mat I had, it was quick and it was on hand. This is the right kind of stuff to use. It's the same stuff I used to cover my table, which I'm probably going to have to do again very soon. Trying to think of an outro for this one. I got nothing. And nothing. There's still more to do on this project. I'm stopping because it's a good stopping point. What have I learned? Nothing. Take your time and do it right. Here, the right way is, you know. Excuse me, gentlemen. These two look pretty good together. This one is by far a better helmet, right? Just the way it's set up, the way all the spacing. The reason I didn't 3D print in the first place was I wasn't sure what size to make it. I had no idea. When you're just working in a void, it's hard to tell what size you want everything to be. When I had this one, I used it for measurements on this one. And I'm very happy with the print. The print is beautiful. The print is perfect. The molds, we'll get there. But for now, I do random stuff like this all the time, right? I'm starting to film most of it. So if you find this kind of thing interesting, and you've made it this far, give us a subscribe. If you're already subscribed, hit the like button. You know, maybe put a comment down below. It really does help out the channel, the logarithm. User engagement is the most important thing. So the more people talk, it's not even just this channel. Talk on the channels you want to do well, and they will. Right? But until then, hope I get to see you next week.